Hey there, and welcome. Today, we are going to tackle a word that can make or break a business dispute: jurisdiction. It sounds a bit heavy, right? But stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to do when someone owes you money and where you can actually sue them. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's paint a picture. You're a freelance designer in Mumbai. You did some amazing work for a client, let's say they're in Delhi. But now, crickets. The invoice is just sitting there, unpaid. You've had enough, you're going to take legal action. But wait, where? Do you file in your city, their city? It's that first huge question that honestly just freezes people up.
Well, the answer to that huge question comes down to one core legal idea, and that idea is jurisdiction. It's basically the rule book that makes sure your case lands in front of the right judge in the right place. And trust me, getting this right is the absolute most important first step.
All right, so let's get into it. What even is jurisdiction? Let's break it down.
So here's the textbook definition. It's the official power of a court to hear a case and make a decision. You can't just walk into any courthouse you want. That specific court has to have the authority to even listen to you. It's all about whether they have the proper power over the people involved and, of course, the subject of your fight.
I love this analogy. Think of jurisdiction as a key, a very specific key, and a court can't even open the door to hear your case unless you have the right one. If you show up with the wrong key, that door stays locked. The court won't even get into the who's right, who's wrong part. They'll just say, sorry, wrong place, and dismiss your case. Imagine all that time and money, poof, gone before you even start.
Okay, so how do we find this magic key? Well, here's the thing. It's not just one key. It's more like a set of keys on a keychain. Your case needs to satisfy a few different types of jurisdiction to unlock that courthouse door.
Yep. Think of it as a three-point check. You got to tick 3 boxes to make sure your case is valid. Those boxes are called pecuniary, subject matter, and territorial. They sound fancy, but they're actually pretty straightforward when you break them down.
All right, this table makes it super clear. First up, pecuniary. That just asks, is the amount of money involved right for this court? You're not taking a billion-dollar corporate merger case to a small claims court. Next, subject matter. This asks, is this the right kind of court? You wouldn't take a contract dispute to a family court, right? Same idea. And last, territorial. This is the big one for our problem. Is this the right location? Mumbai, Delhi. The bottom line is, you can't just have one or two. You need a big yes for all 3.
Okay, let's zoom in on that third one, territorial jurisdiction. This is usually the one that trips people up. So how do you figure out the right place to sue?
So the good news is, the law usually gives you a few choices. It's not always just one single place. The most obvious one is you can file where the person you're suing, we call them the defendant, lives or works. Makes sense. But here's where it gets interesting. You can also sue where the problem actually happened, what the law calls the cause of action. For a broken contract, that could be the place where the deal was broken, or even the place where the work was supposed to be done. See? This gives you, the person filing the lawsuit, some really useful options.
All right, enough with the theory. Let's get practical. It's time to put all of this together and solve our designer's problem once and for all.
So let's go back to our story. We've got our designer in Mumbai, totally frustrated with that non-paying client in Delhi. Let's walk through our 3-point jurisdiction check, step by step.
First, let's look at the money. Pecuniary jurisdiction. The invoice is for 75,000 rupees. That amount fits perfectly within the rules for, say, a small claims court or a lower civil court. So, check number 1, we're good to go. Okay, check 2, subject matter. What's this case about? It's a classic breach of contract, a failure to pay for services. That is a job for a civil court, not a criminal or family court. So on subject matter, we are all clear. Check.
And now for the moment of truth. Territorial jurisdiction. The where. Based on those rules we just talked about, our designer has choices. How great is that? Option A, they can totally file the lawsuit in Delhi. Why? Because that's where the client, the defendant, resides. But check this out, option B, they can also file in Mumbai. And you might be asking why. Well, because Mumbai is where our designer did the work and where the payment was due, meaning it's where the contract was effectively broken. Both are legally valid options.
So, you might be thinking, okay, that's a lot of detail, but why does this all matter so much? Because honestly, getting this right from the absolute start is, well, it's everything.
Look, knowing these rules is a superpower. It saves you from the massive headache and expense of filing in the wrong court only to have your case thrown out.
It ensures you start on the right foot in a court that actually has the power to give you a fair hearing and enforce a judgment. It's about being strategic, not just being right.
And that kind of leads to one last big thought to leave you with. Our whole example was about Mumbai and Delhi, 2 cities in one country. But what about today? What happens when your client is in another country altogether? As business becomes more digital and borderless, how will these location-based rules on jurisdiction have to adapt? It's a really fascinating question for the future of law and commerce. Thanks for watching.